I have been doing this for a short while, and I suppose we could argue that, not even an argument, it's a fact really, that practice makes perfect. The more I do this, the better I may be at it. That may be up to you to tell. I do believe that over the course of time, I have a deeper depth, a deeper level of understanding, and I may also have improved in my means or effectiveness of communication. But that's up to you, like I said, to decide. However, I do feel it's impressed upon me at this point to give you this message. So here we go. Like I said, I've been doing this for a while, and one of the things that bothers me the most is the question of equality. It's weird. It's weird because you know there's nowhere in the Bible where the word appears. There just isn't there. I know the American Constitution says all men are created equal, and a lot of us defer to it by default. But I don't. I mean, those men, I believe they were Christians, the men who wrote that book, that document. And sadly, of course, naturally, a lot of people are subscribing to what the leading economy in the world says, the leading nation in the world. Nobody's arguing that fact. America arguably is the most powerful country in the world at this time. Probably not for much longer, but we borrow a lot from that culture, certainly. So here's the fact. That word does not appear in the Bible. That concept does not appear in the Bible. God did not create everybody equal. He just didn't. I mean, like I illustrated in one of my previous videos, I have 5 fingers on my hand, and they are not all the same length. They don't all have the same function. And that's the way God works with each one of us. Each person is designed for a purpose, and God expects you to fulfill the purpose for which you are designed. Equality is not the point. The point is you achieving the purpose for which you are created. So there's this line in the verse in the Bible that says, "Don't curse the rich. Curse not the rich, not on your bed, not in your chamber, because a fly or something will carry it." It's right there. It's right there. But my point is, don't be so mad at other people because they are more than you. It's none of your business. In the Bible, Jesus speaks a parable of 3 servants. Was it a parable? Whatever. Of 3 servants, of three stewards. One was given 5 talents, one was given 2 talents, one was given one. Where did you get the idea of equality? Where did you get the idea that everybody is supposed to have the same resources? Everybody was never given the same resources. Everybody was never given the same capacity. Take for example, there was this very hilarious illustration that I saw in a book somewhere, where, and I saw it on WhatsApp a while back as well, where somebody was saying, if you trained a a duck to run 100 meters, the duck will never become perfect at 100 meters. It will never be fast as a hare, as a rabbit. It just won't. It will never be as fast as a cheetah, but it will destroy its feet. So it will no longer be good at running, it will no longer be good at swimming. You have destroyed the duck. If you trained, say, a fish at flying, the fish will never be great at flying. It will probably die in the process of trying. So it's not flying, it's not swimming, it's just wasting away, dying. And I can go on through every kind of animal that there is. The animal is designed for what the animal is designed for. And that's what God is going to judge you over. That's what God is going to look at you about. He's going to explore your life about. And I love this parable told by Gideon's son, the last born that remained after Abimelech killed the remaining 70. Was it 80? Whatever. He said, the trees got gathered together to elect a king. And then they called upon, I don't remember the names of the different trees, but one of them was, I think, the vine, a huge tree that produces wine, I think, grapes, I don't remember, whatever. Look it up, I think it's Judges chapter 9. And it says they call this big tree to come and be king. And the tree is like, why should I live where I am? God has established me here. Birds and trees, the birds and creatures, they feed off of my fruit. My wine gladdens the heart of men, and animals are able to rest under my shade. Why should I live where I am to come and be king over the birds or over the trees? They called every other tree. Please read this passage. It's an incredible passage. And then I said, listen. Eventually, they got around to, I think, the thorn tree, which is not really a tree. It's just like a vine, that wraps around other trees. On its own, it can't stand. And they call this worthless creature, I'll call it that, the least valuable of them all, and say, "Come and be king." And it was the one that said, "Okay, I'll be king." Listen, if God did not design you to be king, you are not designed to be king. You are going to create destruction. Listen, from Jacob's prophecies in, I think, Genesis chapter 49, Judah was always going to be the king. The scepter was never going to depart from between his legs. God had already ordained it that way. But Judah had earlier, before that prophecy, committed incest. He slept with the wife of his daughter, of his son. And in the laws, when God gave those laws and commandments to Moses, it is clearly stated that a bastard will not be king, will not enter into my temple for 10 generations. In other words, God has to clean out that bloodline. If there's a bastard or somebody who is castrated, there were a number of conditions like that. But Judah had already created a bastard, Perez. So God needed to clean out that bloodline before the king came. The number 10 down that generation was David. Interesting. They delayed the promise because Judah sinned. He created a bastard. But God was... Now, unfortunately, perhaps about the time David was being born, just a few more years, let's say another 30 years, you've waited 10 generations, for crying out loud. Israel got impatient, and in 1 Samuel chapter 8, they cried out to Samuel, "Give us a king." Samuel warned them, if you choose a king for yourself, if you choose another king other than what God intends for you, it's going to make slaves out of you. The people would not listen. They wanted what they wanted. God told him to warn them. God warned them. They were warned. And then he told them, I love that line. He said, "And you shall cry unto me in that day because of the king which you have chosen for yourself, and I will not hear you." Sometimes we wonder why we don't get some answers to some prayers. And it's written right there in the scripture. Sometimes God does not answer you because you have chosen a path for yourself, and God is going to see to it that you leave it out. Now, sometimes he's gracious. God is gracious, and sometimes he will help you. Sometimes he will change things up for you. Congratulations, good for you. But when you have made your own path, when you have chosen a path that is different from what God has chosen for you, certain conditions, circumstances, situations will come your way that were never intended to, and that for which you are not being prepared or equipped. And then you are in trouble, and then you are crying for help. And God can give you grace. He's a merciful God. And God can just keep quiet and watch you squirm, because he has something else in store. Bottom line, know who you are. Know what God has made you. Know where God has placed you. And walk in the place where God has placed you. You don't need to be the king. You don't need to be the queen. You don't need to become a woman. You don't need to become a man. You need to be who God has made you to be. Be that person. Excel in the path that God has placed before you. That is what is called prosperity. I've spoken about prosperity before. I'm not going to link it into another video. I'm going to make another video about prosperity, hopefully, by the grace of God. But for today, what I'm saying is this. You don't need to be equal to that person. You don't need to be equal to this person. Nigeria does not need to become Europe. Europe does not need to become Afghanistan. Afghanistan does not need to become America. Everybody is fine. You be who you are supposed to be. Be your own person. That's who God made you to be. I'm going to stop there. Now share this video, click on like, click on subscribe, leave a comment, ask a question. God bless you. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.